Welcome to Crafty Little Beach. This is Julie. Today I have a Dollar Tree DIY for you.
I picked up one of these great little honeycomb plaques from the Dollar Tree and some honeycomb fabric from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. They had two different kinds of this. This is kind of like an orange honeycomb. The other one was kind of a brighter yellow, but either one will work. I actually picked up both. Now, I wanted to use two of those little honeycomb frames together, but I just didn't have enough room left on my coffee bar, so we're just going to do one. I'm just putting the fabric upside down in the frame and kind of drawing the little octagon, or I guess it's a hexagon shape, on the fabric to kind of give myself a little bit of a pattern. I like the black frame, but I want to cover up the artwork that's on there and make it look like a honeycomb. So once I get that on there, I just cut that down to size. What I found out is that it was way too small. So that kind of worked to give me a reference point piece, but it was way too small. You could totally see the edges around it by doing that technique. So what I'm going to do is use that as a template on my honeycomb fabric. And I'm just going to go out like maybe 1/8 of an inch on all sides and draw that back onto the back of the fabric to make a little bit bigger shape for my honeycomb. And that got really, really close. So what I'm going to do is fold this in thirds. That way I can go ahead and cut all three of these out at the same time. And hopefully they will all be the same size, the little frames there. They have these, they say like all different kinds of things because my other honeycomb sign said something different, but they're perfect for a bee theme, especially if you cover them up with this honeycomb fabric. Isn't that cute? You could also do that with scrapbook paper if you had it. I only usually shop at Dollar Tree, so I usually don't have any scrapbook paper because they usually don't have anything. But you can always DIY with this Dollar Tree fabric. It turns out great. So just putting Mod Podge down, I did a rather thick layer of Mod Podge because I am attaching that fabric and I wanted to stay down inside of the little black frame. And just using a baby wipe to kind of clean up any Mod Podge that kind of seeps out. And actually I can kind of put that on the top as well. So we're going to do the same thing with the other two little honeycombs. And I'm going to also attach that bee to this to kind of make it like a bigger piece. And that little bee that you see there is just a bee yard stake that I got at the Dollar Tree as well. I'm also going to go over the top of the fabric with that Mod Podge just to make sure that it is going to stay down and stay glued. And as you can see, it's pretty close fit. You can kind of see the white background behind it. And towards the end, I do touch that up with just a little bit of yellow paint to kind of make it look better. But for now, I just want to make sure that I get all that Mod Podge dry, and then we can start decorating this. The honeybee is kind of perfect, but it kind of needs a few things. The wings are very like rainbow colored, which doesn't really go with the colors on my coffee bar. So I do want to tone those down. I start with a little of that bright yellow acrylic and kind of distressing the wings with that. That did help tone down the rainbow color, but I found that you could still kind of see that through it once I do the paint that yellow. So we're going to add another color to this to kind of tone it down some more. But I'm going to go ahead and do yellow on the other little bee wing as well. And he is so cute. I'm going to have it look like he's kind of flying away from the honeycomb, from the beehive. And so I have a little bit of acrylic metallic silver. I thought that might look good for a wing to kind of make it look iridescent and kind of pick up that great texture that was already on the metal bee. So I distressed all over with some of that silver over the yellow, and the combination turned out really nice, kind of a translucent yellowish gold wing for our little bee. I'm going to kind of attach it to the back of the frame, I think like that, with the yardstick that's on there. So I do want to not take all of it off. I want to actually bend the yardstick and use part of it. So that kind of makes it a little bit harder. I do use some pliers and kind of bend it back and forth until I can get it weak enough to make it pop and snap. It's kind of easier if you're taking the entire steak off the back, I have found, but I just wanted a shorter steak and I was able to get it to break off. Now, the only thing I don't like about the bee at this point is it's a little glossy. For all the DIYs I'm doing today, I'm doing much more of a matte finish, kind of a farmhouse vibe to these DIYs. So I am going to go over the bee with some matte Mod Podge as well, just to tone him down a little bit. And this project kind of evolved. I kind of knew what I wanted to do with it, but I kind of keep adding to it and it gets cuter and cuter. So I got a pretty good coat all over on this guy, and then I'm just going to give him a quick dry, and then we can work on attaching him to our honeycomb. So I'm just going to kind of have it coming out the top on a corner, kind of like that. And I thought I could just use my staple gun and staple that to the back. Just an easy way to attach that. And I kind of had a dead space on my coffee bar that kind of needed something there anyway. And that bee is going to be the perfect size to kind of fill up that area. Just kind of cleaning up some of the Mod Podge that had seeped on the back of that. And making sure my staples are stuck in there. I don't want that going anywhere. Okay, I thought this was really cute as is, but I thought, it could be even cuter. Like I could use some letters and make it like a little sign. So there's 3 little honeycombs. So I thought that'd be perfect. We could spell out like the word bee and the 3 different honeycomb shapes. So I'm just going to use some of these wood letters from the Dollar Tree. These are great. You get like one of each letter in a package. And so I'm just going to go through here and find the letters to make B. And it's just going to be a quick, easy sign DIY with these honeycombs. So BEE. And you could leave the natural wood. I think I'm going to go ahead and paint mine though to kind of make it go with my color scheme. So I thought white would look nice and kind of contrast against that honeycomb. So just using a makeup sponge and some white acrylic, we're going to simply paint these. Super easy. And then we can attach that to the fabric on the front of our little honeycombs. So sometimes with a project like this, if it doesn't seem quite right, you can kind of keep adding things to it until it is perfect. And that's what I found with this one. So I'm just going to use a little tiny bit of hot glue on the back of this letter. I don't want any extra like seeping out. And just kind of glue those to the center of each one of those little honeycomb cells. Super cute. I was a little worried about that white border that you kind of see around the honeycombs. It's cute, but it was bothering me. And so I am going to go in and just touch it up a little bit just to make myself feel better. I don't really have any yellow that's quite that honey color, but I do have that bright yellow that I've been using today. And so I'm just going to go in there with a tiny brush and just touch that up a little bit. And now I think it's perfect and ready to go. This is going to look so cute on the bottom shelf of my coffee bar. Okay, next DIY, I found this actually at Dollar General, this little honeycomb candle holder. It was $3. I thought it was absolutely perfect for this. So even though it was $3, I did pick it up. And if you can't find that, they do have the cutest little honeycomb candles. This is a white one at the Dollar Tree. They also have a yellow one, so you could use something like that as well. And most of these projects today, except for the bigger signs, would be great for a bee tier tray as well, including this cute little guy. So I'm just going to put a Dollar Tree candle. Now let me give you a quick sneak peek of how the bee-themed coffee bar turned out. Definitely one of my favorite coffee bars that I've done. I think it's so cute. So many fun bee touches.